Welcome everybody to another episode of Pod on the Apex. And today it's going to be all about Jeddah, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It was a great race, definitely way more action compared to the earlier races in the season. We did see Oscar Piastri win the race, started in P2, had an incident, or should I say, an incident in the first corner with Max Verstappen. And then, yeah, Max got a penalty for that because he didn't give back the place, which in hindsight, it would have been better if he gave back the place and fought Oscar in, say, the pits or whatever. But yeah, drove off into the distance after that, Oscar Piastri, and pretty much won the race. And we saw a first Ferrari podium, isn't that right, Aniket? With Charles Leclerc in P3.
In the race, yes, but if you don't consider the sprint,
Yes, if you don't count the sprints, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so first podium for Ferrari. And for once, they had good strategy. They started in P4, went came to P3 with some good tire strategy and got ahead of, stayed ahead of Lando, who charged from P10, and also stayed ahead of George Russell and Kimi in P5 and 6. So yeah, good race. So what do you think, Aniket? What do you think of the Bahrain Grand Prix? Sorry,
Yeah, it
Saudi
was.
Arabian Grand Prix.
So let's get stuck at Bahrain because that race was even better than this one. But if we talk about Saudi now, I think a good race. We obviously saw the first corner incident. We know whose fault it was. So and I don't think we should get too much into that because you know how irate I get at somebody else's driving. So I think I'll stay away from that. But the deserved person got the penalty, and Oscar definitely made the most of it. Had a clean race and looks like a real championship favorite at this point. And also with Lando being so far down the grid, it made for an exciting race because we could see his progress from P10 all the way up to P4. So that was fun. And we obviously did get a podium with Ferrari, the first in a race, which is a little disappointing because people expected them to be much better heading into the season. And it's what, race 5 right now, and this is
Yeah,
their
race
first
5.
podium in a full race, which is kind of disappointing. Also, the fact that Lewis Hamilton is not performing very well, I think that's a separate topic in itself because
Hmm.
there were a lot of negative comments from him after the race as well, and it does seem like Charles is like the only positive at this point for Ferrari right now. So that's a little sad. That's a little sad news for Ferrari fans like us as well.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, we need to see what Lewis Hamilton can do the rest of the races this season. Apart from that, Max, as you said, he could have given that place back, but he held on to P2, and he still looks to be in the championship fight at this point, despite the Red Bull car being not that great, or as they say, not that great. But we know he's a hell of a driver, and that's the reason he is there where he is right now in the championship. Apart from that, we did see other people in the points. Like I think we saw Isaac Hajar in the points this point in this race as well,
Yeah.
and good race from him as well. We did see a couple of disappointing races previously, but it's kind of a bounce back race for him. Carlos Sainz also did well. He finished P8, I believe, in this race.
Yeah,
Uh,
Carlos had a good race. He out qualified Alex Albon, I think, for the first time this season, and he also finished ahead of Alex Albon, I think, also for the first time this season, if I'm not wrong.
yeah,
Folks, you can leave a comment below if you think I'm mistaken. I'm really not going back and checking the previous results, but I mean, in general, we've seen Alex, have better races this season, and I think, this was the first time in Saudi Arabia that Carlos was comprehensively ahead of Alex. And do you think he's finally getting a grip of the car, Aniket? Carlos Sainz?
yeah. I'm not sure if he's got a full grip of the car just yet, but definitely, he's had a few bad races. We've already labeled him a bust in a few other races
Yeah,
prior to the race as well, at least me. So definitely a confidence boosting race for him. He's
yeah,
got a good 2 weeks break right now. He can focus on some other things and then get back to preparing for Miami next week. So that'll be good. And we also see that he's got confidence in qualifying over a single lap as well.
yeah,
He finished ahead of a Ferrari, ahead of his own teammate as well. So he's doing that in race 5. we knew it was going to take a few races for him to get up to speed with
Mm.
Alex Albon, and this could be the turning point for him this season and for Williams as well, because now they have two competitive drivers
Yeah, yeah.
fighting for points,
Mm.
race in race out. So good boost for them as a team as well. And I think Williams, as we predicted in our preseason prediction, that they're going to be like the best of the rest kind of the team.
Yeah.
So it look like that's going to be that, come the end of the season. But this is a good start for Science in his Williams career. Finally,
Yeah, what a journey for the Williams team, right? Since I would say the sale when Claire Williams sold the team, um, a private equity firm took over, which a lot of us thought is the death knell for the team. But they've done well. They kept the team name. A lot of people thought it's going to be renamed Dolinton Racing or something, but they've continued with the Williams name. They hired a very, very competent person to lead the team in James Walls, and we are seeing them go from strength to strength season by season, right? They have also two very exciting drivers now. Williams was a bit of a meme the last few seasons with their driver choices, right? They had Logan Sargent, they had Nicholas Latifi. Man,
yeah,
almost forgot about him. Uh, and yeah, they would just be in the wall more often than crossing the finish line. Yeah, so it's good to see Williams go from strength to strength.
yep,
But yeah, also the other team that has gone from strength to strength in a more dramatic fashion is obviously McLaren, our championship leaders, right? 2 seasons ago, around this time, McLaren was the worst team on the grid, and now they are the best team on the grid. Two very exciting drivers. We'll talk about Lando a little later, but Oscar Piastri, third season, fantastic driving. Uh, he's a few points behind Lando in the championship. McLaren is comfortably the top in the constructors
yeah.
championship. So, is the papaya resurgence truly here, Aniket?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's Resurgence. I think they're the most dominant team on the grid. I think the Resurgence was last season.
Yeah, I mean the
Now,
continuation of that.
the continuation of them going from, one powerful championship contender to an almighty conqueror, right, in this season is,
Yeah,
there to be seen. So they're just looking out of this world, right? They've got the perfect combination of car to engine to drivers at this point,
yeah.
and does seem like it's going to be a cakewalk for them in the championship unless some teams dramatically start improving. And at this point, we're not seeing any of that, unfortunately.
Are you
And
getting bored of the McLaren domination yet?
I'm getting bored of the Oscar Piastri domination. I think we definitely need Lando to do something about it.
Yeah.
He's like making mistakes, unfortunately. But I think we predicted before the race that it'll be good to see them finally fight. But Lando screwed it up once again, right?
Yeah,
With that crash in qualifying.
exactly.
So,
Yeah, let's talk about that. So basically what happened was in Q3, Lando Norris bent his McLaren into the wall, and yeah, his session ended prematurely. He never set a time. That is his first lap. He was just going to set a banker lap and he just bent it into the wall. And then he started the race P10, and most of his race was spent in climbing up the positions, and eventually he stopped at P4. He couldn't get past Leclerc, who drove a good race in P3. So yeah, I think there have been a lot of questions around Lando's mental fortitude and fitness and ability to deal with pressure. I think he himself said in the press conference that it is something he needs to work on. We saw Sebastian Vettel speak out
yeah.
over the weekend, saying he's helping Lando with his issues. We saw Max Verstappen speak out in support in pretty categorical terms in the press conference, saying that Lando is a good guy. He'll snap out of it and start doing well. The car is good and all that stuff. So yeah, what do you think about Lando, Aniket? Like obviously he's still a championship leader, but do you think he can snap out and maintain his lead? And he obviously doesn't want to lose to Oscar Piastri, but that's his closest rival now. It's not Max, it's definitely not Charles or even George. It's his teammate. And yeah, I mean, last year McLaren obviously favored Lando a bit because he was ahead, and Oscar was still not very consistent last year. But this year, I mean, it's pretty much neck and neck. So I don't see McLaren kind of picking a side at this point. So does Lando have it to go all the way?
Yeah, and I think we just need to correct ourselves because Oscar Piastri is in the championship lead right now by
Oh,
10
I'm
points.
sorry. I really need to check
So,
the points more.
yeah, after this race and after Lando finishing only fourth, Oscar
Oh,
Piastri
right.
would
Oscar
be.
is ahead by 10 points. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
everybody.
exactly. I mean, in terms of the championship, Oscar's now won it fair and square back from Lando.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, Lando is making far too many mistakes in these recent races, right? And there's absolutely no need to make these mistakes because the McLaren car is either a P1 or P2 every race. So he just needs to drive it, keep on the track, and get in a solid lap. But unfortunately, he's making these mistakes either in quali or some dumb mistakes in the race. So he definitely needs to up his game. Otherwise, it's heading down a path wherein he's going to see his championship. He's going to see his teammate win a championship before him,
Hmm.
and things are going to be go south for him real quick if he doesn't, you know, improve some of these performances, does some tweaks to his racecraft, and
Right.
we also saw in the race that he needed 2 laps to get past Lewis. Where
Hmm.
in that when Lewis was playing the DRS game, when he could have avoided all that, probably he would have fought for a podium if not for that. And just moments like that, you can pick and choose every race that he's had, wherein we feel that he could make some improvement here. So you wouldn't think that Lando would need all this after being such an experienced driver at this point.
Yeah.
Uh, after doing everything right last season, coming with a new vengeance this season, and then falling back into some kind of dangerous trap which he's in right now of making mistakes every race. So he needs to buckle up and he needs to start improving this. Otherwise, no, Oscar Piastri is a driver who won't go away. He'll be relentless and keep coming at you as we've seen.
Yeah. Oscar just seems also like, the more calm and composed driver. No amount of pressure seems to, rattle him. And Lando seems to get rattled a lot. So, yeah. Let me ask you this. I mean, yeah. And yeah, correction for my misstatement earlier. Oscar is well ahead of Lando at this point by 10 points. So, Aniket, let me ask you this. Assuming one of the Papaya boys win the driver's title this year, who's your money on at this point?
I mean, at this point, you have to say it's Oscar Piastri based on recent form. Obviously, we all have a little bit of recency bias in our opinions. I
Yeah.
think before the season started, I predicted Lando Norris. So I really want to stick to that, but Lando is not, not being on that path. Unfortunately, he's deviating from it quite a bit based on his current race form.
Hmm.
So at this point, you've got to say if you have to pick someone, it's going to be Oscar Piastri winning the championship, and yeah, we'll have to see Lando win a race again in these next couple of races, and then again probably make a judgment once we see some sort of improvement. Because at this point, it's not looking good. And
Yeah.
if he keeps making mistakes like this, there could be a chance that McLaren have Max Verstappen, reeling them down as well. So that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let's see if he has a better race in Miami. I think
He did last year. He won the race
exactly.
last year.
Yeah.
And that was the start of this McLaren dominance or
Right.
resurgence.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see how it goes in Miami, and obviously we will go into Miami in more detail next week. Now, yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see about Lando and how the season unfolds for him. Now, another thing that I did want to. So yeah. Oh yeah. I forgot to talk about the other stat. Can you believe that Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are the same number of wins in F1?
Yeah, I did see that stat the other day.
Yeah. Unreal, right? Just unreal.
It's a little crazy. I mean, kind of lucky for Oscar that he did come into a car which was, kind of getting there, and then last season obviously they had the best car on the grid, and now they have the best car. So
Yeah.
I think Lando and McLaren did go through a few seasons where the car was always
Mm.
third or fourth best in a season. But yeah, it's a little unreal, but it's still like I can understand why they're tied on the same race wins right now. Also, Lando could have won more races last year, this year, but he
Yeah.
messed it up by himself.
True. Yeah. Let's see. Now, to come back quickly, um, Lewis did speak of his struggles with the car, right? And as he alluded to earlier, he said he cannot control the car is not listening to him. Do you just think this is just more adjustment pains for Lewis? Because, he drove a particular kind of car, sure, through different rule eras, but he drove a particular kind of car for what, close 1.5 decade. And then he has come to Ferrari, where obviously, brakes are different, the car is built a little differently, different philosophies in building the car. And uh, we also saw Lewis struggle a bit in the ground effect era as well, because it doesn't favor his style of late braking and
Yeah.
going sharply into a corner. I think this era favors more of kind of smoother transition out of corners. And I mean, Lewis did speak about that. He did say that he has to learn how to, adjust better to this generation of cars. So, do you think that's do you think that's it about Lewis struggles? Like, it's just some kind of adjustment pains for a veteran driver who drove for say 15 years in one style and now suddenly has to adjust? Or do you think this is just start of a decline for Lewis, and that he has peaked and we may not see him at those heights again?
I wouldn't say it's a decline because we just saw him win in China, right, in the sprint race, and we have evidence on it was three or four races back that he
I mean,
did
yeah, he has sporadically
dominate
won races. He won a couple
a
of races
sprint
last
race.
year,
Yeah, so I wouldn't say
but
it's
the
a decline,
consistency
and
has been
definitely
lacking as
we
well.
know there has been a decline in his qualifying pace, which we
Right.
can all agree with.
Yeah.
He's not the best qualifier anymore. But regarding the race, I do feel that he's getting his setup all wrong. He's not able to adapt to the car at this point. He's just very low on confidence, right? He's not. Firstly, he's not qualifying well, and that
Mm.
diminishes any kind of positivity which he would have.
Yeah.
And then the car is not set up well for the race. For some reason, he's not able to you know do the things which he wants to do with the car. So it's going to be a season of pain, which he's already said, now a couple of times.
Mm.
So I think it's going to be a few races here and there where he might do well, but again, it's going to be very inconsistent from his side. So as you said, the ground effect rules have not suited him particularly well in this entire 4 5 year span. So we might see it might be some time before Lewis wins again, is what I feel, especially with the other teams, running away with how they are in terms of McLaren. When Mercedes is strong right now, Red Bull with Max is strong. His teammate is very strong. So he's right now like sixth or seventh in the pecking order, unfortunately,
Yeah.
every race. And that is really hard to overcome with the car which he's not comfortable driving. So it's going to be some time as he's going to be working again with his engineers with this base back in Maranello,
Mm.
and we'll see how it changes, if it changes at all this season. I'm sure there'll be races where he'll do well, but it'll be worse before it actually comes back good, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully, Lewis also kind of gets back to his old form, and gave his fans so many wonderful moments for the past many years.
Yeah, I agree. It's I mean, the team LH family is always, strong. We always like, we always stick to Lewis, in his sad times and happy times. So we do, Lewis Hamilton fans do hope that, there'll be a bounce back very soon.
Mm.
And it's a little hard to see this after what he did in China, right? So China was not last year. It was like this year, about 2 to 3 races ago. So
Yeah.
hoping it something comes around pretty quick.
Yeah, we all hope that the Tifosi family too, since Lewis Hamilton is
Yeah.
now a part of Ferrari. Yeah, I think one last thing I wanted to kind of touch upon before we call it a wrap on Jeddah is, you know, we are unfortunately this year at least seeing that following has become much harder, right? We I mean, you're seeing it every race. Like Fred Vasseur said it, around, I think between Suzuka and Bahrain, basically. Fred Vasseur said that this is a qualifying championship right now. That whoever wins pole, you know, is most likely to win the race, barring some unforeseen incidents or safety cars or whatever. Yeah, Vasseur was like this, this how it is. And we're also seeing it every race. Like, just take Saudi, for example. Now, after Max, in the first stint, basically when Max was ahead of Oscar, the car was not very fast. I mean, obviously the Red Bull is not the best car there is, but I think the McLaren clearly had better race pace, but
Yeah.
Oscar couldn't overtake him at all. He would come to within a second, and I think his tires would overheat, and then he would just kind of drop back a little to cool his tires. And this happened a lot, and we saw this with many drivers. Struggling to overtake, struggling to keep the tires in a good working window. We saw in previous races too. We have seen very few overtakes this year. I mean, we all remember how Suzuka was. Um, you know, like the kind of snooze fest it was. Not because Max won, but because nobody could overtake on the damn track. And we all know how Suzuka, how wonderful races it gave us over the past so many decades. So what do you think is with the rules all of a sudden? We saw 2022, 23, 23 outside of Max. We saw a lot of good overtakes, but I think sometime around last year it started to kind of fall off. We saw lesser overtakes, and this year it just become horrible. Like the races, I mean, can you imagine we have 19 more races, and if all of them turns out to be like Suzuka, like we have Miami next, not known for overtakes. We have Imola next, not known for overtakes, right? And you can keep reading, and we have Monaco after that, again not known for overtakes.
Yeah.
So, are we on track for another boring season, despite us having four cars, you know, close to each other? Like one might argue the Red Bull is not that fast, but Max Verstappen is absolutely driving the
Yeah.
hell out of it. He
Makes
got
the
pole
car
in
faster.
Saudi, but and yet we are seeing boring races despite four very close cars. So, do you think we're in for another snooze fest of a season?
Yeah, I wouldn't say snooze fest because we still, get overtakes, especially in Bahrain, we saw quite a few overtakes, right? So,
Yeah, but Bahrain has traditionally been a overtake friendly track.
yeah, but at tracks like Japan, where it's a little more narrower and the straights are much shorter, definitely we won't see much overtakes. I think the dirty air generated by the cars is just, too much,
Yeah.
right? As teams are maximizing, downforce and uh, trying to, plant their car to the
Hmm.
ground as much as they can. So this probably leads to more dirty air, difficult to follow the car in front of it, and yeah, I mean, I know the regulations were designed to reduce dirty air so that teams can follow each other, but definitely teams always find a way to uh, get more downforce, add more downforce, exploit loopholes, and teams are like very aerodynamically powerful as well. McLaren, Mercedes, and all these top teams are very powerful aerodynamically as well. So definitely they'll want to generate as much downforce as they can because of the ground effect cars. So this is leading to uh, teams not being able to follow each other after a certain amount of time.
Hmm.
We saw in Japan that barely any overtake was made. I think it's a
Yeah.
combination of car as well as track, and whenever there's a track which has wider straights or longer straights, we see that because of DRS at least we can see some overtaking.
Right.
But if we don't have those factors included, we definitely are going to see more boring races. I think Imola will also be somewhat similar because track is narrower except for that one long straight. So
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the next few races, we have Miami, not known for overtakes. We have
yeah.
Imola, not known for overtakes. After that, we have Monaco, famously not known for overtakes. And
One
then
more
we
thing I
have,
wanted to add quickly is the tires also, right, Pratyush?
yes, yes, they
Yeah.
don't degen at all. There's no deg.
No, it's not about deck. It's about, teams go into this consolidation mode, right? They're not able to attack after like continuously, or like they have to preserve quite a lot before they actually go on the offense. We have not seen that previously as well with the previous generation of tires. So it does seem that teams are a little more conservative. They want to maximize whatever they have on strategy rather than actually attacking. They're trying to outwit other teams on strategy rather than attack them on track.
No, I
So
agreed, but like even if you look at this past weekend, we really bought a softer set of tires. We had the C3, C4, and C5, and the hards lasted like more than half the race. So at that point, you realize, should you even have like,
yeah, but in Bahrain we saw the reverse, right? Teams go on the hard and they don't have any pace. So
yeah, but still, it's not the
unless you
tires are
can stay
not degrading,
consistent.
right? The tires is still pretty good. Just there's no
Tires,
pace.
yeah, but you have these variations in performance, right?
Yeah,
Hards are not giving you any performance at all in one race, while the other race they are, doing well. Then suddenly in some races we see tires falling off very quickly, like soft tires going off in 5 to 6 laps or
yeah,
something.
that's what we need more of.
Yeah, I agree. If you want to do that, keep it more consistent, right? But you can't like. I mean, you want a team. I mean, teams want to as less pit stops as they possibly can, right? They
Yeah.
don't want to have 4 pit stops every race or something.
Oh
And
man,
that's
how I
the
wish
reason
for four
why.
pit stops.
Another reason why they're not attacking or able to attack more rather than this attack towards the end of the stint. Because previously we did used to see a lot of difference in strategies and all that, but right now we are seeing if the P1 guy pits, the P2 guy is probably in the next lap or something
Yeah,
like that.
they all
So
come in at the same time. They go at the
yeah,
same time. They all pit in 2 seconds.
exactly. So if you're not seeing action on track, we are seeing it probably on strategy, and unfortunately, the strategy is also kind of very similar.
Yeah,
And as teams are, able to make faster pit stops as well
yeah. We saw Ferrari have a 2 second pit stop this weekend.
for both the drivers.
Yeah, both the drivers. This
Yeah.
just absolutely crazy. Yeah, so I think, and yeah, and even next year's regulations don't look too good. Teams are complaining about not having enough power on the Monza straight, for example. So it looks to be, I don't know. I don't want to call it too soon, but I don't know, man. Seems to be like maybe boring or not interesting, uninteresting few years for F1 probably. Yeah, I mean,
Unfortunately,
yes,
it does look like these new regulations are coming in at a wrong time. I mean, I don't think F1 needed like a massive change of regulations. Unfortunately, we always see this
yeah,
when we get close teams getting closer. But the problem now is we are seeing that teams are not confident about that 2026 engine as well.
yeah. I think my only hope for the next generation of regulations is that the cars are a little smaller compared to this generation. Like for the past, I don't know, 15 years or 20 years, we saw cars get progressively bigger and bigger and bigger. And for the first time next season, the cars are supposed to get a little smaller. Not a lot. We're not going back to 2005 dimensions, although I love
Yeah.
that. But definitely they are, I think, shorter than this year, a bit, narrower than this year. So hopefully we see some, yeah, a little better racing at least
Hmm.
on track.
Yep, I agree. But I think we still have a long way to go in this season. So
Oh yeah,
we hopefully will get more exciting races before we get more boring ones. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
yeah. I hope somehow Miami has a good uh, race for us, even though it's hard. I'm not too optimistic, but I hope Miami gives us a good race.
I know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think that's all we have to talk about Jeddah. No, honestly, not a lot happened except that first lap incident, and Lando going up to the places. And yeah, Liam Lawson got a weird 10-second penalty at the end of the race, which
Uh,
didn't even feel like his fault, to be honest.
yeah, and we did see a first lap incident between Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly.
Yes,
Little
yes.
unfortunate.
Yeah. But okay, let me ask you this. Did you see the Liam Lawson penalty?
I did not.
So basically what happened was Lawson overtook on the straight, I think the pit straight, with DRS. So he overtook much well before the straight ended, right? So by the time the braking zone came, Lawson was well ahead.
Yeah.
But then what happened was, if I remember correctly, Lawson outbraked himself. So, I think he braked too late or something. So he went off into the runoff a bit. I mean, same thing what happened to Max, basically. He went off in the runoff, cut the corner, and, stayed ahead. And the stewards are like, hey, bro, you gain an advantage, 10 seconds penalty. I'm like, what the hell, man? Poor guy locked up his tires and overshot the apex. And they're like, you gain an unfair advantage, 10 seconds penalty. Absolutely ridiculous, if you ask me. What do you think? Do you think he deserved that penalty?
I don't know. Like I need to go and see that again because 10 seconds seems pretty harsh
Yeah.
for for something like that. So I
And this
definitely need
was
to
at
go
the
and see
end,
that
so
again.
there was no pit stops or anything. So he just got
Right.
10 seconds added on to him.
So probably in the next race he'll have it added on, right?
No, it was added on to his ending
Oh,
time.
at the time. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, got it.
So he dropped, I think, a couple of positions or something because of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is one person's season was going. Was one person's season. I mean, which is going from bad to worse, kind of, right?
Yeah, I really feel bad for
Yeah,
Liam
I
Lawson.
know. Cannot go any lower.
Yep, yep. Well, so far.
Exactly.
All right. I think that's all we have from Jeddah this week. And as always, if you like what you see, make sure to like our videos, leave a comment, subscribe to our channel, share with your friends. We're always looking to grow our channel. We are also building up a nice kind of catalog of short videos, which we encourage you to go check it out. We have a lot of historical videos. We have prediction clips. We have a lot of we have instant reactions. So yeah, make sure to stay subscribed and check out all our content. And we will be back in your inboxes next week for a Miami preview and our pod on the Apex predictions. So yeah, stay tuned for
Yep.
that. And yeah, that's about it for today.
Yep. Do the usual thing which you do. Subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, comment, and we love to hear from you. What topics would you like for us to
Oh
discuss?
yes.
Leave them down. We love to discuss a lot of historical things, a lot of current things, and a lot of things in the future as well. So do leave your comments down on your podcast feed or on the YouTube and Twitch feed as well. And we'll see you very shortly for our next review. No, sorry, preview of
Preview.
Miami
Yeah.
next week.
Yep. We're pod in the Apex, and we'll see you next week.